I always told myself that I was a classic fan or an original fan until something had happened to me not too long ago. Every time I hear a new Pokemon game coming out, I would get mad. I never liked the new Pokemon that always came out. Most of the time, I won't buy a new game of Pokemon until a few years when the game turns old and cheaper. I only buy the games so I can know all the new Pokemon and not sound like a noob to everyone. I would say that my favorite generation was the second one and my least favorite was the third generation, but everything changed when I saw the game Black and White. Pokemon White was the first Pokemon game that I bought when it first came out. I was told these games were going to change Pokemon forever, so I had to get it, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough money to buy a new game. I decided to buy the used game when everyone else bought new games. I remember when I first bought the game, I went to the front desk of GameStop and asked if there any used games of Pokemon White. He said I was in luck because there was only few left. I bought the game and the game was put inside a small plastic bag. The guy then asked me, "Are you happy about this game?" I answered him, "No, not really. I don't like it when they make new Pokemon." I saw the guy frown. "Yeah, I know how you feel." After that, I was taken back home and I took out my used DS. I opened the box to the used new game. The little game was in bad shape. It had a lot of scratch marks on it and the sticker was ripped off. I thought it wasn't going to work, but it did. I turned the game on and I saw the opening game screen. First I saw the Game Freak logo with the shooting star and thought it looked very cool. I'm not used to the new graphics. I still play Fire and Silver when I can. I was amazed to see the video where the little hen was given a crown, but I still felt a little disappointed that Pokemon really did change. I didn't notice at first, but the video loaded more slowly than normally. Next, I was taken to the title screen. What I first noticed that there was no name on the title screen. I thought that this game was used. Perhaps the last person deleted their game file or the file was corrupted and got deleted. It was strange to think that because the game was brand new and didn't have any glitches like Pokemon Red and Blue, maybe the last person's game file got deleted by using the action replay too much. I pushed the new game button and my adventure was going to start. Everything started as normal. I needed to pick a name and a gender. I would always pick the girl, but I decided to be different this time since this was the changing game of Pokemon. I picked the boy gender this time and I named myself after Red, my favorite character in Pokemon history. Then everything happened at my house. What I first noticed was that I couldn't name my rivals and there were two of them. They really did change everything. They even talked in bubbles. I then had to pick my starter Pokemon. I picked the Snivy because I always loved grass starters and I always loved snakes, but deep inside, I missed Bulbasaur. I didn't want the Snippy. I couldn't wait to get the National Pokédex so I can get the old Pokémon back. Even the Pokémon names were no longer capitalized. After I easily defeated my two loser rivals, I noticed something. The two would turn their bodies around and look at me. At me too. Not Red. They said nothing while they looked at me. Then they returned their conversations to Red and left my house. Then they destroyed it. I thought everything was normal and never noticed their weird behavior. I continued my journey until I saw M. He was telling me he can talk to Pokémon and all his nonsense. Then he was surprised to see my Pokémon when he talked to them. Of course, he had to look at me before he left Red. So I kept continuing my adventure. My rivals and N kept looking at me every time I met them. It was their normal behavior and thought nothing wrong was going on. Eventually, I made it to the Elite Four and I saw M defeat the champion. He told me to defeat him and more block. I went up to his castle and prepared my team for the final battle with him. I bought new items but I never trained my team any higher because I thought it was going to be an easy battle to win. I went to N and he had to talk to me but something was different. "Your Pokémon," he told me, "love you." Yeah, they always loved me. All the games said that. Pokémon will always love you no matter what you do, but he continued to talk. No all lies. What? I yelled to myself in my head. I then noticed there were some blank spots in between his words. He was trying to force himself to say this to me. This wasn't normal at all. They all hate you. He paused for a few seconds and continued to say, "You always hated them, all of us." From behind N, my rivals showed up. They said nothing. They only watched as N kept talking to me. "We can't be them. Why can't you love us? Why hate us? What did we do wrong?" Ben walked to me and I was forced into a battle. I was surprised to see the Pikachu around in the level abbeys. I never saw the old classic Pokémon in a while. I never got the National Pokédex yet. My fully evolved grass starter came out. My Pokémon was barely in the 55 level range. The Pikachu used the move Frustration and it fainted my superior in one move. Next, I sent out my Crocodile and tried to use an Earthquake on the Pikachu but the Pikachu was too fast. It used the move Frustration and fainted another of my Pokémon. What can I do now? I asked myself. Next, I send out my trusty Musharnet. I liked this Pokémon because it has good defense. I was hoping that Musharnet would survive Frustration and it was carrying a Quick Claw. It might hit the Pikachu. I looked through the bag to see if I can heal my Pokémon but everything was gone. All my items disappeared. All I saw was a bunch of question marks inside the bag. Icy old do anything. I returned to the battle and used the move Synthetic. I prayed to God that Quick Claw would work and it did. Musharna used syntetic but it didn't affect the Pikachu. What? How come? I continued to ask myself. Pikachu was an electric type, not dark. The Pikachu used Dark Pulse and my Musharna fainted in one hit. After my Musharna fainted, I sent out my girder next. I tried to use Hammer Arm but it was still too slow. Pikachu used Psychic and girder was done for. I had two Pokemon left. I had to win this. All I had left was an Unfant and an Audino. I took out Audino first because it had element moves like Ice Beam and Flamethrower. I was ready to hit the Pikachu but it used another frustration and my Audino lost. One more Pokemon was left. I sent out my bird and I quickly used Quick Attack without thinking. At last, I was able to hit the Pikachu with little damage but then I saw it transform. It turned into a Zoroark. It was using the ability Illusion. The sprite of End appeared next to his Zoroark but he looked different. The sprite was all glitched up and all in different colors. Ben's hair had both green and black and his hat was red. I knew why he looked like that. He was trying to look like my favorite character Red so I like him. No love him. Is this what you wanted to see? Well, too bad we can't be them. He told me. The sprite disappeared when the Zoroark defeated my last Pokemon. Another frustration and I was done for. The glitched end appeared again to look at me. He told me his last words, "Why can't you love me like him?" The screen turned white and I was taken back to the title screen. I saw the video of Little Ann again. Right after the video, I saw that my game file was corrupted and got deleted. My name was gone. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I had betrayed him and he made sure he told me for his last words. I never thought this would happen to me. I heard stories but I never knew they were real. Never again have I played that same game again. I threw it somewhere in my room and lost it. I would never let anyone get their hands on it. I do not want them to go through what I saw. But I have learned my lesson. I learned how to love all Pokemon. I learned how to love everything now. I didn't care if Pokemon were new or old. No matter what, I am going to be happy if any new releases are coming out. Right now, I decided to go back to GameStop and replay Pokemon White. This time, I made sure that the game was new so this wouldn't happen to me again. So far, nothing has happened to me yet but something will never change. I will no longer look at Normal again. He will always haunt me.